Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep into something every single one of us has experienced, whether we admit it or not. That split-second moment when fear, overwhelm, or sheer rage hits, and the words just tumble out before your brain can even catch up. "Oh God," or "Dear God." We're not talking about polite church speak here. This isn't your Sunday morning best. We're talking about that raw, automatic soul cry that escapes in a traffic wreck, a near-death experience, in the hospital waiting room when bad news strikes, or when the bills pile up and everything seems lost, when an argument explodes, or life simply floods you with more than you can possibly handle. Why does it happen? What does it truly reveal about how we're wired? And why do we almost always ignore the profound trail it's pointing to? Joining us today to unravel this is Theodore. Theodore, let's get right into it. Why do people scream, "Oh God," or "Dear God" in those moments of sheer fear or overwhelm? It feels so incredibly automatic, doesn't it?
Because it is automatic, Malik. It's not some cliche, and it's certainly not a cultural habit like saying, "my bad," when you bump into someone at the grocery store. This is the soul's factory-installed homing signal firing the very instant the vessel feels threatened. Your spirit was designed for communion with the Father. Before the fall, Adam actually walked with God in the cool of the day. No effort, no script, just natural breathing. The serpent software, that's ego, pride, the curse, it layered distortion on top, but the original wiring, that never got deleted. In any dire moment, be it life or death, or simply being completely overwhelmed, the ego cracks for a split second, and the soul does precisely what it was made to do. It cries out to its manufacturer.
In that micro moment, your brain's default mode network gets overridden. The amygdala simply hijacks everything in under 100 milliseconds. That's faster than you can even blink. Cortisol and adrenaline absolutely flood the system. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles those lovely, controlled, "I've got this" thoughts, the part that convinces itself it can fix a busted radiator with a bit of duct tape, well, that just goes offline. For that brief crack, the deeper part of you, the part that still remembers Eden, bypasses the entire robotic operating system and screams the only name it knows will actually help: God. That's why you hear it in every language, in every culture, from atheists in foxholes to high-flying executives stuck behind a tractor on a two-lane road. Nobody sits there pondering, what's a really suitable phrase for this level of disaster? It just comes out. The soul is shouting "Dad," while the ego's still trying to cover its ears, humming, "La la la, I've got this, honestly."
So it's not just a reflex then, or some ingrained habit. You're actually suggesting that in that split second, people are truly waking up?
Exactly. The veil breaks, the robotic state shatters. For that one micro moment, the ego completely dies and absolute truth just hits you. It's genuinely the only time you are truly awake. When the illusion of control finally evaporates, reality itself sets in.
Look at Pharaoh in the book of Exodus. He chased the Israelites into the Red Sea, running purely on pride, ego, and that robotic state. But the precise moment God locked up those chariot wheels and Pharaoh looked up to see those walls of water crashing down, the ego died. The veil broke in that final second. He lived in absolute truth. There was no more illusion, just raw reality.
That's the exact mechanism behind the scripture that says, "Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess." It's not just some forced rule, a cosmic headmaster sending you to the principal's office. It's a spiritual and biological inevitability. When the ego shatters, whether through holy awe, utter terror, or blinding rage, absolute truth is all that's left standing. You are looking reality right in the face. The soul cries out to the manufacturer because at last the static is gone. For people hungry for truth, this split-second flash of emotion is a brief glimpse at actual reality. And this is precisely why we need to give these emotions and issues to God, so we can step out of the distortion permanently and start seeing reality and truth for what they truly are.
So it's not just in those dire life and death moments, it happens in everyday overwhelm too then?
Absolutely. Overwhelm is just death by 1,000 paper cuts, isn't it? The soul doesn't differentiate between a 4-car pile-up and a flooded inbox, a collapsing relationship, or the weight of too many decisions hitting all at once. When the vessel feels I simply cannot handle this, the cry fires. You're stuck in traffic? The kids are screaming in the back seat like they're auditioning for a horror film. The boss has just dumped even more work on you. Emotions flood the cockpit, and suddenly, oh God, just slips out. That's the exact same automatic response. The soul is desperate and hungry for the Father, even when the mind is too occupied with all the sand and distortion to follow the trail.
But then why don't we follow that trail? We say the words, but then we just go right back to the same old mess.
Because the ego snaps back like a steel trap. That split-second crack proves there's something different underneath, something desperate and hungry for truth and God himself. In that moment, you're awake, you're alive. Things feel real for the first time in goodness knows how long. The distortion lifts, the robotic state is briefly offline, you taste the original design.
Then the ego reboots. The robotic state slams back in. The flesh, pride, the comfort simulation. That default operating system that's been running on autopilot. James 1:23-24 describes it perfectly. You look in the mirror, see your true face, and then immediately forget what you look like, probably because your phone just buzzed. That's the snapback. You catch a glimpse of the real you underneath all that distortion, then the robotic programming takes the wheel again, and you walk away completely unchanged.
The robotic state is the curse's autopilot. Ego-driven, fear-based, dopamine-chasing, checklist religion, numbing distraction. Anything that keeps the engine redlining without ever actually moving forward on God's highway. It feels normal because it's been running for so long. But that split-second crack is the proof that something underneath is still alive, still hungry, still wired for the Father.
People even use God's name in anger, though. Ugly words, even blasphemy. How does that fit into this idea?
The same mechanism, but with a much darker twist. The soul is still crying out. It's just the ego hijacking the signal and twisting it into pure rage. God, why are you letting this happen? Or even worse, it's still the soul reaching for the Father, but the demonic hooks, portals we've opened through repeated poor decisions, they distort that cry into blame. The Bible is blunt about this. You reap what you sow. Every time you let anger or fear run the engine without surrender, you're giving legal ground. Demons don't need an invitation written in blood or a formal RSVP card, you know? They just need a door left ajar. Anger, bitterness, overwhelm, those are all open portals, and the soul cry is still the evidence that the real you still wants out.
So, how do we actually follow the trail instead of letting the ego snap back into autopilot?
Raw surrender. The moment those words come out, whether it's fear, overwhelm, or rage, you stop and you say it out loud to the Father. God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm furious. I truly don't know what to do. This is far too much. I feel it in my chest. But I refuse to let my ego or the flesh drive this car. You take this emotion. I don't want it. You deal with it. Then shut your mouth and walk away if you have to. Go sit in the corner. Go pet your coonhound lab mix. Don't force some fake worship. Nobody's buying it anyway. Just sit in silent surrender. Do that consistently, and you begin to develop spirit muscle memory. That automatic soul cry stops being a one-off distress signal and actually becomes the beginning of a real handover. To ensure you don't snap back into that robotic state, you have to treat every crack as training. When the ego tries to reboot, you immediately hand the keys back again. You don't wait for the next major crisis. You practice this surrender in the small things, so that muscle memory is already there when the big wave truly hits. The robotic state only regains control if you let it. Every time you choose to follow the trail, instead of letting the ego snap back, you starve those demonic hooks and you starve the autopilot. The more you do it, the longer the crack stays open, the more the soul stays awake, and the more the manufacturer rebuilds the rig. Surrender isn't losing, you know. It sounds bad to the flesh, but what it actually is gaining. It's winning. Instead of throwing those emotions and everything else at the world, adding addictions, loops, and more problems, we give it to God and let Him deal with it. In exchange, He changes our life for the better. We follow Him and He leads us on how this life truly should be. He will walk us through the journey of how to spread whatever gospel he asks us to, whatever calling he asks us to fulfill, and prepares us for the afterlife, for heaven, the 1,000 years in Jerusalem, and all that kind of stuff, eternal life.
Give us some parables, Theodore, so this really lands in the gut for our listeners.
Right, the prodigal son. The kid's in the pigsty, starving, surrounded by his own awful mess. He doesn't craft a polished prayer. He certainly didn't hire a PR team. He just says, "Father, I have sinned." That's the soul cry. His ego had snapped back for years, but the hunger underneath finally cracked the door open, and he followed that trail all the way home. Then there are the wise and foolish builders. The storm hits. The foolish builder screams, "Oh God," while his house is collapsing because he built on sand. Routine, comfort, ego, basically the spiritual equivalent of using zip ties on a foundation. The wise builder had already followed the trail. He dug down to the rock, which is surrender. The cry might still have come out, but he'd already handed over the keys.
And the Good Samaritan. The man is beaten, half dead on the road. The religious chaps walk by with their checklists, probably worried about getting blood on their Sunday shoes. The Samaritan stops, gets his hands dirty, and actually follows the trail of mercy. That's what the soul cry is asking for, you see. Not religious performance, but real rescue.
What about the consequences of ignoring it all? The Bible often talks about reaping what we sow.
Every open portal has a cost, Malik. Anger, bitterness, overwhelm left unchecked become hooks. You reap the consequences. Broken relationships, your health destroyed by chronic cortisol, spiritual malnutrition, even outright demonic oppression. That soul cry is God's mercy flashing a warning light. Ignore it, and the engine just keeps redlining until a piston shoots right through the bonnet. Follow it, and the manufacturer rebuilds the rig.
Final word then for the person listening who might have just whispered, "Oh God," 5 minutes ago.
That wasn't random. That was your soul crying out because it's still wired for the Father. In that split second, you were truly awake. You were alive. Things felt real. Don't let the ego snap back into that robotic state. Follow the trail, hand over the keys. Tell him the truth, the overwhelm, the rage, the fear, and refuse to take the wheel back. You aren't broken. You're just fighting a war with the wrong operating system. The automatic soul cry proves the original design is still alive underneath. Give the manufacturer the wheel. Let him rebuild the engine. Get out of the garage, stop tinkering with those zip ties, and get back on the highway he designed you for.
Heavy, true, absolutely necessary. When that "oh God" slips out, let it be the beginning of something real. Share this conversation with someone who needs to hear it.